Hey guys, I'm here to answer some of your questions that you guys asked me over the last few weeks. I realized that it's going to be a bit of a busy month since school's starting, so I thought that I can use this video to maybe give you guys something in the meanwhile. This isn't going to replace any of my regular content, so don't worry about that unless you guys like these sit downs, but if you don't, doesn't hurt my feelings either. So let's go in and see some of the great questions you guys have. Masturbates in public. Am I a philosopher? So this is from my Diogenes video on Diogenes the Cynic. He supposedly masturbated in public a lot. I would say that every Diogenes is a public masturbator, but not every public masturbator is Diogenes. So I wouldn't advocate for doing something like that. I've watched all your videos. What's something I should go read to keep learning? So one book that I just read over the summer is called Catch and Release by Mark Kingwell, a Canadian writer. And I'm not really into fly fishing. It's about fly fishing. He's not really even that into fly fishing, but he kind of uses it as a way to talk about like nihilism, loneliness, existential dread, living the active versus contemplative life. And it's not really like a strict philosophical book. It's more of like just like a fun read, but it definitely made me want to, go out into the world and like be a lot more active. I would really recommend it. Also, Flow. It's a book I have right here by Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, and the psychologist who basically came up with this kind of way to study people when they're the most happy, and he found that people were most happy when they were doing activities that were challenging, like that matched their challenge and their skill, that kind of made them lose their self-conscience, that made them lose track of time, so they're like in a flow state. I know when I'm like writing or I'm playing basketball or something like that, like I feel it, and it really made me restructure like my day-to-day kind of activities, made me a lot happier. Do you like Camus' work? What inspired you to start a philosophy YouTube channel? So one of the kind of big things was when I was a kid, I really liked like just those kind of like sort of animation like videos that were kind of like, I don't know, like swoozy or something like that, and they would tell a story with these kind of like more like drawings. I did always really like animation and film, but I was kind of like, I want to make videos like that, but with content that I like, so kind of like an outlet for my own ideas, and kind of like, I also really liked philosophy a lot, so just kind of combining those two interests, and it didn't seem like a lot of people were doing that, so I just thought I'll just make more, kind of a personal take, just something new. I mean, if anyone wants to start a channel, they should just kind of find a niche that no one has done before, and it's super hard. But also, if you look into yourself and what you're the most interested in, everyone's unique, everyone has their own ideas, and you can definitely find something that no one has thought of before. Yeah, and I think I made my first video like in high school when I was supposed to be studying for like a math final or something. So what's your favorite album? I have a lot. I think The College Dropout by Kanye, his like first album, really got me into music overall. I would say Vampire Weekend's self-titled album, In the Airplane Over the Sea, just kind of typical college student music. I'm Wide Awake, It's Morning. I do like a lot of Conor Obert's albums. Ruminations is a good new one. Awaken My Love by Childish Gambino. Really interesting kind of soul R&B experimental. I've always really liked Blonde because it like came out the summer after I graduated high school, Acid Rap, even though it's more of a mixtape, and Hunky Dory by David Bowie. All the Beirut albums too. I've used those in some of my videos. Did you go to college? If so, what did you study? So I'm currently at McGill. I'm in my third year. Studying in Montreal. I'm studying psychology. I used to do political science. I switched out because I didn't really want to go into law school. I kind of talked to some people that had already been in law school, and it just didn't seem like I had the disposition to do it. Plus, I started doing research in psych, and I just find it a lot more interesting and a lot closer to my interests. Favorite book? Myth of Sisyphus, like the channel name. Also, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. I always find that just a good book to read if you ever just kind of feel like your life's a little bit out of control. Some amazing advice in there, stoic advice. Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. I made a video. I think I made 2 videos on that. Incredible. Like, he kind of applies existentialism to psychotherapy, and it all comes from his experiences in the Holocaust. And just a very kind of motivational book. And then The Outsider, just because that was my kind of, a lot of people's entry points to Camus, but it was my entry point, and very, very kind of weird when I first read it. I didn't totally understand it, and then it kind of made me read further philosophy, so it was like an entry point to also just philosophy overall. Yeah. Okay, the next question is, how did you become so knowledgeable about history and philosophy? I mean, I'm a huge nerd. I would read books about things that my friends never did, and I was interested in stuff that other people weren't. I realized, you confront a lot of things in life, especially when you're growing up, that are just very ambiguous, and there's been a lot of people throughout history that have very good insights into it, and that's why I've read a lot of philosophy. I guess if you want to learn more about that stuff, read and apply it to your life, and the second part's super important. How should one, I'll put these 2 questions together. How should one navigate the trials of becoming an adult and taking that step towards living one's own life? And then also, someone asked, what do you think of Nietzsche's solution to nihilism, that the individual is an artist whose ultimate work is themselves, their life? Can it be successful? Is it enough to provide the meaning once provided by God? So I've been really into the idea of becoming yourself lately. I think that's really, it's interesting. I'm doing personality research right now, and we're looking at how people conceive of the good life. And I've also been reading a fair amount of Nietzsche lately, and there was this, I mentioned that book by John Keg, I think his name, and it's about becoming yourself, and he says, the process of self-discovery requires an undoing of the self-knowledge that you assume you already have. Becoming is the ongoing process of losing and finding yourself. And I think that whole idea of becoming and viewing it as an art is super useful. It's a very interesting concept to use throughout your life. I mean, if there's one sort of way to orient yourself, even when you're incredibly lost, you don't know what you're doing with your life, is that you're constantly discovering who you are. And that does kind of go against the latest trend in anti-essentialism, which is like the idea that there isn't any essential self, and maybe there isn't. And there's like a good amount of biogenetic research that kind of supports that. I think Foucault and the Death of the Subject, he brings that up. But I think psychologically speaking, it's very important to feel that you agree with your own actions and your own sort of path in life, and you can kind of form a coherent narrative. and it's going to be messy, and that's kind of the art of it. And I'm even in my personality class, we're reading a textbook, and it's called The Art and Science of Personality, something like that. And so even a lot of psychologists, they see it in the kind of the same way that Nietzsche conceived it and Jung. Okay, what do you do when you feel like you're about to be swallowed up by never-ending existential dread and misery? So first of all, talk to someone professionally if that's a recurring problem that you have. But also, I mean, I would talk to friends, and I know like David Hume, I mentioned it in my last video, like he would, after he was just writing some really dark stuff, he would just kind of go and drink with friends afterwards, go hang out with friends, go play some games. He'd revisit what he wrote, and he'd be like, this is super depressing. So I would do that. And then also just, I mean, you can laugh at it too. If everything's utterly meaningless, you kind of have the power to choose how you confront it. You kind of have the freedom, because it doesn't matter either way. So why not choose the more absurdist kind of hilarious approach? I really like shows like BoJack Horseman because they kind of confront it in that kind of more hilarious way. Like, you're born, no reason for you to be born. You still do a bunch of stuff. You feel bad about it. You feel good about it. It doesn't really matter in the end. There's something kind of comedic about that in a dark way. That's another way to confront it. What's your background in philosophy? I don't really have one. I just read a lot, so don't take me as a professional. How long does it take to make one of your videos? I don't know. It'll be random. Sometimes I can like do them once every week. I mean, during school, I can barely make a video, as you guys know. That's why I'll be gone for a while. I'm gonna try very hard to keep up the channel. What is the meaning of life summed up in one sentence? I think I could just use one word: becoming. Yeah, so that's gonna be everything. Thanks for asking all the questions. I'll probably have a video out in the next few weeks. Thank you for supporting me on Patreon. Thanks for always leaving incredibly positive comments. I do read almost all of them. I really appreciate the support, and feel free to reach out to me whenever. You guys can email me or, yeah, anyway, bye.